Hello everybody and welcome to another part of Wiggly Questions. Cheryl Surette has asked, what was your favourite magic trick to perform and why didn't Greg the Great succeed at the tricks? Okay, so favourite magic trick, I would have to say, there's this one that I used to do where I had a pink hanky and I'd put it inside my hand, make it disappear, blow on it, and then a little bit later I'd make it come back out of the hand. I like that one of my favourite tricks. There are a few other magic tricks I performed with the Wiggles, some bigger sort of stage illusions we did at some concerts early on, but I think there was one we did, it was called the clown boxes. So there were these boxes that sort of stacked on top of each other, and I think we made Jeff come out of those boxes actually. So I showed all the boxes empty and then spun the boxes around, and then Jeff would appear outside of the boxes. And this one time we were doing that trick, one of the box lids actually closed on Anthony's nose and smacked him in the nose. Luckily he didn't get hurt too badly in that instance, but years later we were in New York, and I think it was Madison Square Garden actually, or was it before that? I just remember that Anthony was at Madison Square Garden. He had his arm bandaged up. I think he broke his bone in his arm, but the reason he broke it wasn't a magic trick. It was actually another stage prop. It was a big bone we had made for Wags or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened. I think it toppled over or something. Anthony went to catch it and he caught it on the this part of his arm and it snapped his arm. I don't think it happened at Madison Square Garden now that I think about it. Maybe that's a Wiggly question for Anthony. Where did that actually happen? But I do remember strange things can happen with stage props. So that's another story too. Lots of stories about stage props not working properly, but poor old Anthony copped the magic box on the nose and then the bone on the arm and snapped it. So, yep, that was my favourite trick. Now, why didn't Greg the Great succeed at the tricks? Well, I guess because he's no good. He's not very good at doing magic tricks. You might love them, but he's not very good at them. And a few funny stories about when we used to go busking in the old days. We were the Wiggles, but we went busking with Anthony's brother John, and I used to do some magic tricks down at Circular Quay when we were busking, and I had this trick where I'd get a newspaper and pour water inside the newspaper, and if you turned the newspaper a certain way, the water wouldn't fall out of it, but if you turned it the wrong way, then the water would fall out of it when you turned it upside down. Needless to say that Greg the Great wasn't very good at that trick, and a couple of times Greg the Great got that trick wrong, so then in subsequent times when Greg the Great would go to do the trick, Greg the Great would be shaking like this because he didn't know which way to turn the newspaper. So we quickly stopped that part of the magic act, but then we did bring it back into the Wiggles, and anybody that knows me knows that I do love magic, but I think I'll leave it to the professionals. So moving on to the next question. What time is Wiggly Question Wednesday, says Daniel. Well, we've started Wiggly Question Wednesday, and I've got to tell you, it is still going. It is going weeks after we started it. So I'm going to see if I can get through things a bit quicker tonight. Now, Joan Brooks says, hi Greg, I've read your book several times and really enjoyed it. Any plans on writing a sequel at some point? No plans at the moment. Got plenty of content, but no plans to start writing it just yet. Really enjoyed you as the Yellow Wiggle. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for entertaining so many young and old. Well, thank you, Joan. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you for reading the book. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And, it's been a real privilege to be a part of so many people's lives. It's something we didn't set out to do. We didn't set out to be part of so many people's lives. All we wanted to do was create good content for children, and I guess as a result of that, as a result of the content that we created, it was good and people liked it, and yeah, we got to be a part of your lives, everybody, and still a part of your life. So thank you very much for allowing us into your lives. Now, Toby Vandenbrink says, hello Greg, I'm Toby, I'm 14 years old and I love the Wiggles since I was 4. And this is my question now. Hang on, I've got to click on this read more part. What was your favourite song that you recorded on your Greg Page album in 1998? Wow, okay, you know that album. You're the one person that bought it. No, a few more people than one person might have bought that, Toby, but I'm glad you've got it. My favourite song on that one, well, it's hard because I wrote all those songs. I'm kind of attached to all of them. If I think about the songs that are on there, the very first track on the album, I think it's called I Only Dream of You, and I wrote that when I was about 14 or 15 years old. from memory, and I quite like. That's a bit of a pop song, that one. I love God's Angel too. It's a pretty simple song, but I wrote that when I was a bit older, probably about 22 or 23. I wrote that one, and yeah, it's got a good sound to it. It's got a good sort of it starts with a string pad, a pad of strings just on a chord, and then the vocal comes in. I think that was nicely produced by Mike Gubby. Did a good job on that one. Not that he didn't do a good job on the other ones, but that one in particular, I really like what he did with that. So thanks for that one, Gubby. It's I wonder how you are, Gubby. I haven't seen you for a long, long time, but man, you're a great guy and a great organ player, and you did a great job on producing that album for me, so thank you very much for that. And Joe Camilleri did a couple of tracks on that one too, at the request of EMI Music, I must say. That was a thrill to work with Joe Camilleri on those songs. So yeah, I've been very blessed in my life to work with so many amazing people. So thanks, Gubby, and thanks, Joe Camilleri. Moving on now from Toby's question to Oba Awalawo. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong, Oba. But Oba's 13, been with the Wiggles since you were born. Wow, one question. Good, I'm glad you've only got one question because it'd take me too long to answer too many more. Do you have the 1996 video of It's a Christmas Party on the Good Ship Feathersword? Well, you know what? I would have that video somewhere because I know that I've got that DVD or video of, I guess that'd be Wiggly Wiggly Christmas, that one, 1996. Man, that's going back a long way. That's 21 years ago, isn't it? If my maths is correct, that's scary. That is scary. 21 years ago, and I was 25. So, and that's, yeah, you were not even born then, Oba. So, yeah, I do have a copy of it. I probably can't put it on my YouTube channel for copyright reasons, but if you can dig it out somewhere, I'm sure it's around somewhere. It's a lot of fun, that one. It's a Christmas Party on the Good Ship Feathersword. Now, I've probably only got time for another couple of questions. Now, Tyler O'Malley. Hi, Greg. My name is Tyler. I live in New Zealand, and I'm 18 years of age. You were a big part of my childhood growing up, and I thank you for that. Well, I'm glad. Thank you very much, Tyler. I came to see a show of yours in Christchurch, New Zealand, way, way back in 2004. Now, that is going a long way back. So in 2004, you were probably 4 years old. And I am planning to now take my nephew to a new generation Wiggles show in coming years, months, etc. I have a few questions for you. How much do you think personally have live shows changed from when you were a Wiggle? Well, I haven't seen too many of the live shows with the new cast, I must say. I did take Cameron to see one a couple of years ago. He was probably 4 at the time. How have things changed? Well, look, I guess now that there's the singing is shared a lot more amongst the 4 Wiggles, I guess. Anthony probably doesn't sing as much as the other 3. But that's one thing that Anthony always wanted with the Wiggles, was to have all of us do share the singing amongst the 4 Wiggles. But then when we did our first recording, the other guys, had sung and they were listening back to things and they weren't too impressed with the way their voices sound. I'm just kind of saying that bluntly because that's how I remember it. And they felt that I had the best singing voice, so I kind of got the job of singing most of the songs. As time went on, I think Anthony wanted things to get back to more that idea of other people singing, and so we had other people come in and do more stuff with us. We had Professor sing a lot of Songer, and that was played by a number of people. Paul Paddock played Professor, but also Morgan Crowley, and even Sam Moran, who eventually took over from me as the Yellow Wiggle. He also played Professor sing a lot of Songer. So that's one way that I've seen the live shows change, I guess, since when I was a Wiggle. Second question from Tyler is, what is one of your favourite memories from being on tour with the Wiggles? Well, I guess a very general answer to that question is, I guess just being on tour. It was amazing to be a part of being with the Wiggles. We got to do what we loved doing, and that was being on stage entertaining children, doing great shows for kids, and every show was different. And part of that was because of the chemistry that we had between the 4 of us. We got on really well together, but we just had so much fun. We had a common goal and a common vision, and that was to make sure that what we did was good quality children's entertainment. So yeah, just being on tour was always fun. Sure, there were times that would have been bad or hard, when you were sick or when you were, away from home and missing home, missing your family. That was always hard. But the good times got you through that. very luckily, and there weren't too many of those bad times, so no complaints. Do you think the original group will do reunion shows overseas? I don't know about that one, to be honest. That hasn't been broached as far as I know. The guys just ring me up every now and then, say, hey, we've got a show that we can do wherever it might be, and it's for a good cause. So if I get the call, I consider it, and yeah, if they say about doing overseas shows, well, I'll consider that then, but nothing at this stage is on the cards. So look, I'm probably going to have to leave it at that for tonight, guys. That's Wiggly Questions Part 4. I've got to go meet my friends for dinner tonight here in Singapore. But things are going well here, and I hope to be able to bring you some more news about what's happening here in Singapore and potentially in other parts of the world as well. So thanks for all your questions, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Don't forget to tell your friends about Wiggly Questions and the Greg Page channel, and tell them to subscribe because it's a lot of fun answering your wiggly questions. I hope you're enjoying the answers, guys. And who knows where the next lot of wiggly questions will come from, but I'd say it'll be from Sydney. Anyway, take care, everyone, and talk to you soon. Bye now.